Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Trauma Pond HQ. My name's Olivia and this is where we sit by the pond and we have a little chat. Now, if you have been following me for some time, you understand that I have been a psychology student for almost 2 years now, and I have officially decided that I can no longer do psychology, and it's not for the reasons that you think, and I'm going to explain why. I started studying psychology because I truly love psychology. I think it's very important that we understand our minds. And of course, the number one reason why I wanted to do it is because I wanted to help people. I had already been unofficially studying psychology for a few years because I genuinely have such a massive interest in psychology. I wanted to make sure that if I'm going to do psychology, I'm going to enjoy it, I'm going to thrive in it. I didn't want to do something that I wasn't 100% sure on. So when I knew that I was wanting to do psychology, I thought, right, okay, I'm ready to actually go ahead, do this, get my license.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
It didn't take very long for me to realize that, one, I'm very good at it. Psychology is actually exceptionally easy to understand. The hard part is actually the research and analytics. Actually, I was starting to see that there's an awful lot of things that you're not allowed to learn.
Interesting.
And I don't know if it's actually that you're not allowed to learn it, or if it's because the lecturers don't know when they are being questioned. And I think this is the biggest problem in university just in general. Because universities have such a large amount of students and an awful lot of courses involve understanding material wholeheartedly, psychology being one of them. But I was starting to notice a few things within psychology that I was not happy with, like asking hard questions to the lecturers. This was one of the biggest concerns that I noticed during my foundation degree. I decided to ask the question, when you look at scientific research and a lot of the research has been fluffed or certain peer-reviewed articles are going towards a specific agenda, how do we know that that particular area of psychology or that particular area of science is trustworthy? It's already hard enough when you are researching particular topics within that field that there are hundreds of different research papers on that one particular topic. And then to sift through all of that research only to find that there are things that are not making sense between papers. And of course, that is going to happen in science and research. But then when you see that certain papers take off because of certain agendas, it's quite disheartening. And the reason why I brought this up is because these three authors decided that they would write a few research papers and see if they would get accepted. Not only did some of them get accepted, they got published. And not only did some of them get published, they won awards. I'm not even allowed to repeat some of the things that they had done because what they decided to do was take a very controversial, well-known book by a certain someone and rewrite it with a feminist agenda. You're probably thinking, how on earth did they get away with that? Not only did they get away with it, that paper got accepted with outstanding reviews. So because I knew things like this existed, that's when I decided to ask the question to my lecturers, how do we know what is right, what is wrong, and how to sieve through all of these fake peer-reviewed articles? When I asked this question, I was met with radio silence. No one wanted to answer that question. So that was red flag number one. The next red flag was when I started studying health psychology. Now, when I was doing this in my foundation degree, my lecturer actually said that my work was fantastic. Doing health psychology, I knew that that was going to be my calling, and I believed that health psychology was going to be the field that I was going to go down. And my lecturer through Curtin University acknowledged the fact that I was actually very good at this particular topic. And in one of my papers, I even got 90%. So she knew that I was understanding the material very well. I spoke to her after I finished my foundation degree, and she was very excited to see that someone was going to potentially go forward in this particular field and with good ideas as well. I had a lot of ideas, and if you've seen my IBS video, you'll understand that this is a field that I am very, very passionate about. And I have an awful lot of theories in that particular area. And I communicated that with the health psychologists at Curtin University, to which their response was, I would love to see that in a research program. Once I had finished at Curtin University, I decided to change universities because I wanted to go on campus. I didn't really enjoy being online. Having dyslexia and ADHD, I much prefer being in an environment where I can talk to people I'm very much an interactive person.
Probably because I'm quite thick.
And in my very first class at university on campus, it was with a health psychologist. I started talking to this health psychologist and I told her about my experience in foundation degree. And then I told her a little bit about my theory for IBS, which she was not happy about. I have no idea what her problem was about it. All she could say was, no, I think you're wrong. I think you need to look through the literature again properly. Now, when I say I have gone through so many research papers to do with IBS, I mean, I'm looking at so many, but they all have the same conclusion. So when I was speaking with this one particular health psychologist, who by the way, has been in the industry for 20 years, she was very quick to dismiss me on this particular theory. I said to her, I completely understand, I'm still new to all of this, but could you point me in the direction of where I'm wrong so that I can learn from that? All she could say is my understanding wasn't there and it was going to take an awful lot longer and a lot more research papers to go through to understand that. And I said, I completely understand that, but where am I wrong in this theory? It's too complex for me to explain. Okay, that's not really an answer.
Then there are some people, they're not stupid, they're full of shit.
When I tell you the amount of times that I was asking a question and they couldn't answer it, it was almost every single class. In one semester last year, I had a total of 8 lecturers. Only 2 of them would actually speak to me about things. The rest of them, when I would ask a certain question, they would say, I don't know the answer to that one. It was almost like I was the first person that had ever asked a question in class. There was 2 separate occasions where I was actually correcting a lecturer. The whole purpose of going to university is so that you can go and learn from the people who are teaching these particular topics. So if you are showing them evidence that what they are saying is incorrect, that's concerning. Why should I pay tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars towards an institution that cannot teach? The amount of horror stories I hear from other people saying that they have had really bad experiences with psychologists because the psychologist didn't know what to do with their scenario. The reason why people go to a psychologist is because they are suffering from certain traumas. That is the reason why people choose to go into therapy. And if you end up being met with someone who doesn't know how to treat you, then what is the purpose of them? There are so many people I know who go to a psychologist and all that psychologist will do is do talk therapy.
Good.
And then I'll ask them, okay, well, your case sounds like it would benefit from EMDR. Did they ever recommend that? No. Okay, so maybe they were thinking of putting you onto CBT. Did they ever think of that? No. I said to them, have you ever heard of any of these things in the 3 years that you've been going to a psychologist? Have you ever heard of any of these treatments? To be met with a no, there are people who are severely suffering with many different traumas, and the psychologists that they meet don't know how to treat them. And that's the whole purpose of being a psychologist. It's to help and to treat. And there are so many different avenues of therapy that can be used for a particular person suffering with any form of mental illness that does not include drugs. And yet for some strange reason, these people know nothing about it. And when I would question certain psychologists on this, they don't know the answer as to why this happens. I genuinely don't see the point in paying thousands and thousands of dollars towards an institute that will not teach me. Because if I have questions, I want them to have answers, especially when you're paying through the ass for it. So it is with that I have decided that I am not heading back to university just yet. It's not the fact that I don't want to. I genuinely do. And there are so many things that I want to be able to do for people. But if they are not teaching people properly, how am I supposed to help? I have seen that university is a massive scam. It is heartbreaking. I don't see the point. And the sad thing is, I don't believe anyone should be going to university and spending thousands and thousands of dollars to go into debt to learn nothing that you can't learn from Google all just to feed into the pockets of the people who are running these institutions. Now, you did see that I flashed a little bit of a book in your face just before, right? Well, this is another thing about psychology that I did not expect to say. Look at this one.
Being a psychologist, and I think doctors come across this as well, everything that's forbidden in religion is actually counterproductive for your mental health anyway. We're not allowed to drink, we're not allowed gambling, not allowed lots like casual sex or anything like that, but that's all constructive to your mental health. So in the process of becoming a psychologist, it made me more religious. It made me realize why God is so strict, because he knows if you stray from these rules, you will suffer in the form of either mental health or physical unhealth.
She's not wrong. I will confess something. I used to not like Dr. Jordan B. Peterson because of this one particular thing. He would always reference God and the Bible. Why would I want to believe a person who believes in science and psychology who also believes in the Bible? Well, I'm always happy to admit when I'm wrong. And it turns out I was very wrong. I'm understanding things on a much deeper level in regards to the Word of God. And I'm starting to understand that I need more forgiveness. Not from anyone here, but from God himself, from Jesus, and especially his mom. I've said some horrible things about the Virgin Mary, and I am begging for forgiveness with that because I'm pretty sure Jesus would not like the fact that anyone would bag his mama. I've said this before, but my journey through finding God again is just starting to rekindle. I'm very grateful to have my eyes opened again, and I'm excited for this journey. I never thought in a million years I would end up saying, I believe in God again. And in all honesty, I'm starting to understand that this makes more sense than the DSM when you consider that people who are adapting the DSM are doing it to cause harm. So you can stay with me on this journey as I try to unfold myself, give my life to Christ again. I feel like everybody is starting to wake up. 2 years ago, I nearly died from something that the pharmaceutical companies tried to kill a lot of people with, and the governments as well. And my body is still paying the price for that, and my mind. But part of me is actually grateful that I survived it and that I'm given a second chance to understand my life again. So I'm hoping that this is going to be uplifting in some way, and that some of you will stick around to understand what it is that actually happened. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in for this episode of Trauma Pond HQ. If you have enjoyed this episode, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. Say whatever you want. It's not going to affect me. I'm already traumatized. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time for another episode of Trauma Pond HQ. Mwah.